and welcome back to Lady Jane Books. Today I'm doing my October wrap-up and November TBR. I am back! I am in the light of day. This is very exciting. For those who don't know, I've taken a little bit of a step back from BookTube because my filming schedule is just totally ruined, and I'm trying my best to balance filming and this new opportunity that I have. And I haven't found the secret sauce yet, guys, so bear with me. But I am so excited today to talk to you about the books that I read in October and what I'll be reading in November. Where is this year going? I can't believe that we have like 2 more months to 2021. I refuse to believe it. I just refuse. I don't think it's real. Now, I did not read a lot of books in October, but what I did read was very exciting. So let's get started. The first book I read in October was Hour of the Witch by Christopher Bogelin. I actually read this as a buddy read with one of my all-time favorite BookTube buddies, very literary Kari. I will link our live show discussion in the description if you're interested, but spoiler alert, this was fantastic. This is a historical fiction that's also kind of mixed in with a little bit of a domestic thriller. Hour of the Witch by Christopher Bogelin is a historical fiction based in the Puritan times in New England. And our protagonist, Mary Deerfield, is married to a horribly abusive, violent man. And Mary has had enough, so she files to divorce her abusive husband. But certain situations are brewing in puritanical New England, and the witch trials are just starting to get into full swing. The witch trials are just beginning at this time. So not only is Mary navigating these really difficult waters of having an abusive husband, filing for a divorce, but there is also this lingering idea that she may be accused of witchcraft. This was so good. It was so brilliantly done. Kari and I had the best time buddy reading this. We decided early on that we were going to check in on Saturday and tell what we read during the week, and that just went out the window. We were messaging back and forth for hours on end every single day because we were just so excited about this book. Now, Hour of the Witch is a bit of a slow burn, but for me, I thought that the development of the characters really added to the story. Oh my goodness, it was so good. It's a wonderful historical fiction, a fantastic domestic thriller, and it may just be one of my favorite books of 2021. So if you want to hear more of our thoughts, definitely go check out that live show. I'm going to link it in the description. But basically, October brought one of the best books that I have read, Hour of the Witch by Christopher Bogelin. The next book that I began in October was Dead Leaves by Keelan Patrick Burke. This is a short story collection that's based on autumnal, October, Halloween times of year. And I was so excited to read this. I wanted to read it for a couple of years. So what I did was about 9 days before Halloween, I resolved that I was going to read one short story a day leading up to Halloween. And that lasted about a day. Yes, I only read one short story, but I will say that short story was very, very good. I really enjoyed it. I just wish I kind of applied myself to keep reading it day after day, but there's always next year. I've read a couple of other Keelan Patrick Burke short stories. I've read Blanky, I've read Sour Candy, and I think one more, maybe The Tent, I believe. And I really enjoy his scary horror writing style. It was very creepy, it was very unsettling. So next year, I'm hoping to finish out these short stories. But since the short story was really good and I did read it, I am definitely going to count Dead Leaves by Keelan Patrick Burke on my October wrap-up. And the final book that I read in October was Nightfall by Daniel Barnett. This is book 1 in the Chronicles series, and I'm actually doing this as a group read, buddy read with Steve Talks About Books and Stuff. We had a wonderful discussion about Nightfall. I will link it in the description, again, if you're interested. But basically, this is kind of this horror series where there is no day anymore. Suddenly, it becomes night and everything just becomes really nightmarish. If you want to hear more of my thoughts on Nightfall, definitely go check out that discussion with Steve Talks About Books and stuff. So okay, it wasn't a big reading month in October, but I will say I was so pleased with Hour of the Witch. I'm so glad I read that. I highly recommend it to everybody. It was a really great book to read during that time of year, and honestly, I could not have picked a better booktube buddy to read it with than Kari from Very Literary Kari. Now that October is done, we are moving into my November TBR. The first book that I'm reading in November is House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. I am reading this also as a buddy read with one of my favorite booktube buddies, Pei Vio from Attention. Now, I have looked at House of Leaves for years. I think I bought it like in 2017 or something. And it has been on my October Halloween TBR for about 4 years now. And it's time. It's time for Jane to read House of Leaves. Now, I don't know too much about it. I've kind of kept myself in the dark about it because I don't want to get any biases or predetermined knowledge about it or anything like that. I really wanted to experience the whole book for myself. I've only heard this described as an experience. I've heard it's frustrating and confusing, but really rewarding at the same time. I'm not quite sure. So I think it's one of those books that you just have to read for yourself and fully experience, which is why I haven't really researched it or tried to find out more about it. I have started it and I read the intro already, but I don't know what to make of it quite yet. It's a different type of book. It's very... Oh my. So I have no idea how to describe this or talk about it really. But what I am excited is that I will finally read it after years and years of having it on my TBR, and I get to read it with Pei from Attention. So I am definitely looking forward to the adventure of reading House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. The second book that I hope to read in November is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Literally, I cannot open up YouTube, I cannot open up BookTube, I cannot open up Book Talk without seeing somebody talk about The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. And so I'm intrigued. I want to know if the hype is real about this. So I'm hoping to read it in November. Now I know there was a little bit of controversy about this book, and I think it stems from people thought it was about a girl who falls in love with the devil, and that's not the premise. So I'm not 100% sure what this book is about, but I think it's going to be a really, really interesting read. And quite frankly, it's going to be something a little bit lighter for me in November, hopefully. So that's why I added The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue on my November TBR. And the final book that I'm reading in November is The Case of the Murderous Dr. Cream by Dean Job. I am thrilled about this. My booktube buddy, Very Literary Kari, and I, we're doing another buddy read. We had such a good time the first time with Hour of the Witch that we're doing it again. Oh my goodness, this is so fun. This is a nonfiction book about Dr. Cream, who was a serial killer back in the Victorian era. Now, I'm excited because it's got history, it's got medicine, it's got a serial killer. What else screams Lady Jane other than those three things put together? I'm so excited about this. I've heard it's kind of this nonfiction book, but it's written in a way that it almost feels like a novel. And I was so excited to do another buddy read with Kari. We had so much fun the first time that this is going to be absolutely great. Now, we will be reading this a little bit later in November, but I'm so excited to read The Case of the Murderous Dr. Cream by Dean Job. And that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Hello! Hello! And welcome. That sounds so weird. I'm so out of practice, guys. It's not even funny. All right, let's try this again. Hello! Nope, that's not right. I'm out of my game, guys. Like, I took 3 weeks off, and I don't remember how I used to do this, like, all the time. Oh my goodness, I feel, like, so out of my element all of a sudden. Now, I did not read a lot of books in November. Wow, Jane. Wow. And she has had enough. She is filing for dessert. Dessert? No. Yeah, I don't know about this. I'm not 100% sure. It's been staring at me from my bookshelves like years, and it's just kind of like waiting for me, I think. But I don't know, guys. I'm not sure how this is gonna go. I mean, it looks interesting, and I've heard that it's really an interesting story, but I don't know what to make of it yet. I'm not sure. The second book that I hope to read in November is this. I almost said The Secret Life of Addie LaRue. I mixed up Secret Life of an American Teenager and The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and I put it together. Okay. So that's why I added The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Yeah. Now I'm doubting myself, and it's like, no, it is The Invisible Life, Jane. It is. But I am so looking forward to reading The Murderous Case? No. Now, we are going to be reading this a little bit later in November, but I'm so excited to read The Case of the Murderous Dr. Cream by Jean. I did that like 6 million times, but Jean. Now, we are going to be reading this a little bit later in November, but I'm so excited to be reading The Case of the Mysterious? No. I'm not used to this. I'm off my game. I'm not used to this. But certain situations are brewing in puritanical New England, and the witch trials are just starting to get into full swing. Oh, that was dark, Jane. No, that was a bad joke. Oh. Full swing. Full swing, Jane. Witch trial. That's horrible. Oh, goodness.